Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new episode of World's Panorama, the only show that gives you a 360-degree view of major global news in the most concise, direct and unbiased reports. I'm Sana Khan. Before we get you detailed reports, here's a look at the top stories this week. US presidential campaign enters a crucial phase. As 3 months remain, we bring you a closer look at who's leading, Obama or Romney. China's trial of the century over in a day. Bourgelai's wife argues diminished responsibility. Now all eyes on the crucial verdict. US President Barack Obama denounced the Sikh Gurdwara shooting. Shooting reveals connections between US military and fascist groups. An American swimmer, Michael Phelps, ends swimming career with a record 18th gold and 22nd Olympic medal. Our focus this week is on the intensifying campaign in the run-up to the US presidential elections 2012. In about 3 months, the results of the US presidential elections will be announced. At this moment, it seems like President Barack Obama will be re-elected. Well, the real drama is about to begin. After months of nasty back and forth between the presidential campaigns of Obama and Mitt Romney, the battle is for the White House, which is about to be engaged in earnest, and the stakes could not be any bigger. For getting us a perspective, joining me in the studio, who better than Pramit Pal Chaudhary, Foreign Affairs Editor of the Hindustan Times. Pleasure having you with us, sir. But before we take a closer look at the presidential campaign, have a look at this report.
US President Barack Obama and his Republican rival Mitt Romney have laid out competing visions of the road to recovery facing the US voters. Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney has released a video highlighting Obama's remark that the private sector is doing fine, accusing the president of failing to deliver economic recovery, saying talk is cheap.
I've been interested in seeing that the president continues to, not only in speeches but in ads, say things that are patently untrue. I made it very clear. My tax policy will not reduce the taxes paid by high-income Americans. Number two, with regards to middle-income Americans, I want to lower the taxes paid by middle-income Americans. My plan is very clear. I will not raise taxes on the American people.
Obama pitted his economic plan against Romney's top-down vision. He emphasized the refusal of Republicans to pass any economic plans that involve raising taxes for the wealthy, and warned that deep spending cuts backed by Romney and many Republicans would hurt the recovery in the short term.
The last thing that we should be doing is asking middle-class families who are still struggling to recover from this recession to pay more in taxes. Rebuilding a strong economy begins with rebuilding our middle class.
The Romney campaign released another ad this week accusing the Obama administration of trying to gut President Clinton's signature welfare reform law by dropping work requirements, accusing him of fostering a culture of dependency.
I don't want to transform America into something it's not. I want to restore to America the principles that made us the hope of the earth. We're going to do it together. We're going to bring back America.
The White House said Obama wanted to give states the flexibility they had been seeking to tailor the program to their needs. But some conservatives fear the increased latitude could allow states to undermine the federal rules, which were a key element of the welfare overhaul under Clinton. The Romney campaign sees Obama's move as an opportunity to argue the president is liberal, who wants to give the poor a free pass at the expense of the middle class. Negative campaigning is by no means uncommon in high-stakes politics, but analysts say Obama and Romney have gone negative unusually early in the race that still has 3 months to go.
Let me go across to Pramit. Now, Pramit, my first question. Many important junctures before November 6th. For example, Mitt Romney will be picking a vice president, then both the conventions will take place, and then the televised debates. Give us a sense of what to expect in these 3 months' time.
Well, the vice presidential choice at Romney will have Paul Ryan, a Wisconsin senator, will be a sign for him, an indicator that what he really puts as the most important part of his message, which will be the economy. Ryan is a fiscal conservative. He's popular with conservatives because he believes in a balanced budget, massive cuts in welfare expenditure. So he is very clearly indicating with the choice of Ryan, I want to have an election. My campaign is going to be driven about conservative economic philosophy. That will be the first thing that will happen.
Okay.
The next thing that's will be for present stage. The next stage will be the conventions, the two-party conventions that will be held in a month's time. Those conventions will be designed to build up a message for the people within the party registered voters for the party, to build up that sort of sense of momentum. Both of them will expect to see a surge in their polls at that point, and then try to hold that into the last 2 months of the election, which of course takes place in the first week of November. And that last month, of course, will be where you'll see the two sides trying to bring down the poll ratings. But more important, remember, because of America's very unusual electoral college system, where it's actually a collection of 50 states, each voting separately, and then the so-called special votes of those states being then collected together. It's not a directly elected presidency as most people think it is. The result is that actually only a handful of states will matter. About 12 so-called swing states will determine who wins the election. And so that last 2 months of campaigning will be almost solely 80% of it will be on these 12 states in the United States.
And it's still not very clear, though several polls are being conducted that some of the states are favoring either Obama or Romney, but still that position can change dramatically in the last few days, isn't it?
Absolutely. Right now, in fact, while, as you said, we've had 3 polls in the past 24 hours or so indicating Obama slowly edging ahead of Romney. But even the maximum they're giving, the maximum percentage is about 6 percentage votes, which is really not very much. They range between 6 to 4 percentage votes. If you then break down the polling per state and then you go to the electoral college system, you need to have 270 electoral college votes to win. At present, the states leaning or already committed to Obama only number about 240. So Obama still needs to secure at least 3 more states to be guaranteed of winning the electoral college system. And those states are all 50-50. They're so close that nobody knows which way they'll go.
All right. Pramit, do hold on to that thought. Before we continue to discuss this issue further, let's see who is emerging, as even Pramit mentioned, as America's favorite for the top spot. Atar Khan with more.
That's right. It's another challenge by Romney losing its sheen just a little bit. Now, Republican White House hopeful Mitt Romney is losing favor among U.S. voters just 3 months ahead of his tough election battle with President Barack Obama. This is what a new poll showed this week. Take a look. The poll showed that 49% of voters have a negative view of the former Massachusetts governor, up from 45% in May. This perhaps because Romney has had a rough summer marred in part by a series of slip-ups during a trip abroad to Britain, Israel and Poland. He has also come under fire for his refusal to release his tax returns from 2010. Now, if you have a look on the screen, in contrast, 53% of voters said they had a favorable opinion of President Barack Obama, while 40% said they felt negatively about him. This suggests more key independent voters see Obama favorably rather than unfavorably. Back to you.
Atar Khan there with several of the polls that are being conducted. That was just one of them. But talking about the Democratic convention, that will be a very good opportunity for Barack Obama to gain and to get those numbers which he's lacking right now. But he'll have a tough time rather defending the way the economy has been doing, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why he's been focusing on attacking Romney over the fact that Romney has not disclosed his taxes, and he's been attacking him on outsourcing, because as you know, Romney used to run a company called work for a company called Bain Capital, which did a lot of outsourcing. They used to buy, it's a private equity firm, they would buy American companies, and one of their tactics was to outsource a large chunk of their jobs overseas. So those two attacks that he's been making against Romney have been designed to make people sort of forget the fact that the economy is in bad shape, or basically argue that the economy is in bad shape because of Wall Street. And Romney represents exactly those problems in Wall Street that led to this economic problem in the first place. So, but there's no doubt that if you look at the polls, Obama leads Romney in national security, very unusual for a Democrat, but because he killed bin Laden, he's shown a tough stance to China and Pakistan and terrorism. He leads Romney, and Romney doesn't have any foreign policy experience at all in national security. He leads him in general personal confidence that the people prefer Obama as a president. He's seen as more presidential, but he lags against Romney by about 6 to 8 percentage points when it comes to the economy.
Right. Also, lastly, we've seen a lot of advertisements coming out from both sides. Give us a sense of, how much of a role or what role exactly do these ads play when it comes to the US presidential elections? What sort of impact do they generate?
At the heart of this is the question of the so-called negative ad campaign. Now, negative ad campaigns actually don't have much impact on the image of the other candidate. What they do have an impact on is voter turnout. Okay. The higher the number of negative ads you can make that stick against your candidate, middle-ranking, middle-rung, undecided, fence-sitting voters will tend to either stay home or not vote for either candidate. So what you like to do is to basically target those voters who might vote for your candidate. And even if they don't vote for you, at least they'll stay home.
Right.
And a lot of negative ad campaigning is actually designed strategically to keep people who look like they're going to vote. So, for example, the perfect thing for Obama is working class, factory working Americans are conservative in their values. So they tend to be Republican in their social value structure. Right. But they tend to be economically Democrat because they're labor workers, they don't like outsourcing. So Obama will say, I want to keep these guys from voting for, they won't vote me, but if I keep them home, that's a negative vote. Right. So I'll hit them on outsourcing, I'll hit Romney on outsourcing, I'll hit him on being a Wall Street man. And these guys will say, I don't like Obama, I won't vote for him, but I'm not going to vote Romney, I'll stay home.
Okay, so you might, if that works out, this might be positive for Barack Obama, but we haven't seen that kind of support this time that we saw in the last elections for Barack Obama.
Absolutely.
So he will have to work much more harder to compete with Romney. Thanks so much, Ramit, for joining me this week on World's Panorama. With that, we take a very short break. We'll get you the full story on the horrific shooting in Wisconsin that killed 7. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us. As the debate over gun control and mass killings was beginning to wane again in the US after the Aurora shooting, it has taken off again at a full steam with the killing of 7 innocent victims at a Sikh temple in Oak Creek in Wisconsin. The racial hatred in American society has also come to the foreground. Here's more.
The information on the suspect: his name is Wade Michael Page. He's 40 years of age. His date of birth is 11/01/71.
Wade Michael Page, the man accused of killing 6 people in a Sikh temple in Wisconsin, has a long and storied past firmly embedded in the white supremacy movement. Everything from Page's tattoos to his bands seem to suggest his support for white supremacy. But according to police, no telltale writings or note were left behind by the 40-year-old ex-Army veteran.
We can say that he was in the military from 1992 to 1998. He had a general discharge, and that he was ineligible for re-enlistment. I want to make it perfectly clear, right now, he is the only shooter that was involved at the temple.
London Sikh community expressed their shock and condemnation of the attack.
If somebody came with a weapon, innocent people in the temple, I don't think this is a braveness, this is cowardness, I call. And what happened, I mean, I totally condemn this one. So I hope it wouldn't happen again.
Reacting to the incident that came 2 weeks after a shooting rampage at a movie theater in Colorado, US President Barack Obama expressed concern over the recurring pattern of violence and asked Americans to do some soul searching.
I think all of us recognize that these kinds of terrible, tragic events are happening with too much regularity. For us not to do some soul searching and to examine additional ways that we can reduce violence.
Back in India, Foreign Minister S.M. Krishna voiced his concern on the safety of the Indian community in the United States to Hillary Clinton.
I have conveyed our concern about the attack and the loss of very precious lives in this heinous crime against a place of religious worship.
The incident took place on Sunday when a 40-year-old neo-Nazi skinhead Page walked into a Sikh temple in Oak Creek, Wisconsin at 10:25 a.m. local time and began shooting congregants who had begun gathering for main Sunday service, which was to begin an hour later with a legally purchased 9mm handgun. A detailed investigation is underway to establish the real cause behind this indiscriminate shooting. Syrian government forces bombed rebel positions from the ground and air in the northern city of Aleppo on Friday. The relentless violence triggered a fresh wave of civilians streaming across the border into the neighboring Turkey to escape the civil war in their country. Attempts to oust President Bashar al-Assad have led to 17 months of unrest, during which activists claim more than 20,000 people have died. The UN Security Council, which meets again at the end of this month, has a responsibility to stop the bloodshed. Here's a report.
Amateur video footage posted on a social media website said to be filmed on Thursday showed streets covered in rubble and rebel fighters walking in what is said to be Salahuddin district in Aleppo. Rebels have been forced to pull back from Aleppo by government forces, even as thousands of civilians continue to flee heavy fighting in Aleppo.
UNHCR's offices in Lebanon, Turkey, Jordan and Iraq are all reporting increases this week in the number of refugees from Syria. Our data, which primarily reflects the number of people who have registered or are in the process of being registered, shows a total population of 146,667 people as of yesterday evening.
Meanwhile, according to reports, veteran Algerian diplomat Lakhdar Brahimi may be appointed as the UN Arab League envoy to Syria after Kofi Annan quit in frustration following no let-up in violence.
We must also unite in our efforts to address the extremism that is, alas, on the rise.
Britain's Foreign Secretary William Hague has pledged increased support and an additional £5 million to Syrian rebels, mostly to the Free Syrian Army.
I've agreed in principle that our assistance to the opposition will include communications equipment to help political activists overcome the regime's communications blockade and ensure their message gets to the outside world.
The aid is aimed to protecting activists from repression and helping them overcome the Syrian government's jamming and blocking techniques. Analysts say latest announcement is a realization that the situation will continue to get worse if it does nothing.
And the murder trial of Gu Kelai, wife of deposed political leader Bo Xilai, ended as soon as it began. A formal verdict will be delivered at a later date. Officials said that the defendant and her accomplice had all but confessed to poisoning a British businessman who had threatened the safety of Kelai's son. Here's more.
The woman at the center of China's most politically explosive trial in 3 decades did not contest charges of murder in a hearing that lasted just 7 hours and could determine the fate of former Politburo member Bo Xilai. Bo's wife Gu Kelai chose not to contest the charge of murdering British businessman Neil Haywood. Haywood's alleged secretive dealings with the couple had fueled a scandal exposing the intimate nexus between money and power in China's elite. The court said Gu gave the Briton a fatal dose of poison. Analysts believe that the fact that she feared for the safety of her son lessens the likelihood that Gu Kelai could face the death penalty.
She should have been granted the right to pick her own lawyer, and she should have been granted the right to defend herself to the media. I won't accept any verdict before I hear their side of the story.
I think she should accept her punishment. After all, she committed murder, so she should be treated as anyone else. It should be like that.
Any penalty would take into account the fact that Gu Kelai was cooperative and meritorious, having provided evidence about the crimes of others. The court statement avoided any mention of her husband, who reportedly knew about his wife's crime and sought to cover it up. The trial's brevity suggests that Chinese leaders are eager to close what has become an embarrassing scandal, one that strained Chinese-British relations and complicated an upcoming leadership transition scheduled for the fall.
Time for a short break. After that, NASA's Curiosity rover lands on Mars, sends back colorful pictures from space. Stay tuned for more on that. You're watching World Panorama. With that, time now to take a look at some of the other international news in a quick wrap.
The Mars science rover Curiosity landed on the Martian surface shortly after 10:30 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday to begin a 2-year mission seeking evidence the red planet once hosted ingredients of life. NASA and White House say the successful Mars landing of rover Curiosity proves US leadership in space exploration. At a news conference in Pasadena, California, NASA released the first color image on Tuesday of the red planet sent from Curiosity. Pakistan Supreme Court on Wednesday ordered Prime Minister Raja Parvez Ashraf to appear in court this month over his failure to comply with orders to reopen corruption cases against President Asif Ali Zardari. The court ordered Ashraf to appear in person on August 27 to show cause why he may not be proceeded against for committing contempt. The move, another twist in a long-running standoff between the government and the judiciary, could lead to further political instability in Pakistan. In a late-night ceremony on Wednesday, the National Transitional Council, the political arm of the opposition forces that toppled Muammar Gaddafi a year ago, transferred power to the National Congress elected in July. Thousands gathered in Martyrs Square, formerly Green Square under Gaddafi, to celebrate the landmark event.
Let's now take a look at the very latest news from the world of movies and lifestyle. Here's our entertainment wrap.
Oscar-winning actress Meryl Streep tackles the ups and downs of marriage in her new film Hope Springs. Streep teams up with the veteran actor Tommy Lee Jones. The movie effortlessly switches between humor, sorrow and emotion, which Carol credits to Jones and Streep. Actress Jennifer Garner's radiant smile brought sunshine to the green turf that lined the arrival line to her latest film, The Odd Life of Timothy Green, at its world premiere in Hollywood on Monday night. Joining Garner at the premiere were co-stars Joel Edgerton, CJ Adams and director Peter Hedges. The film is an inspiring story of a happily married couple who can't wait to start a family. Johnny Depp made a cameo on stage with Aerosmith at the Hollywood Bowl this Wednesday. After the show, Johnny and Steven kept the party rolling at a private party at the Pink Taco on the Sunset Strip. This was Johnny's first public appearance since breaking up with longtime love Vanessa Paradis.
Over to sports now. At the London 2012 Olympic Games, the one story that has captured the world's imagination is the conclusion of Michael Phelps' Olympic career. Phelps, the most decorated athlete in Olympic history, with a medal tally of 22 on his name, the most gold medals, winning 8 at the Beijing Olympics, with another 6 medals in London. While experts debate whether he is the greatest all-time Olympian, the 27-year-old now is looking forward to the next stage of his life. Here's more on the legend that he is. Speaking to reporters in central London after another medal-laden games, Michael Phelps said that he'll definitely stay retired and will enjoy looking on from the stands as the next generation bids to beat his tally of 22 podium finishes at the Olympics.
I mean, I had goals that I wanted to achieve over here, and I was able to do that. I said this before the game started. It's hard to really compare this Olympics to to what happened 4 years ago. It's just a different day and completely different meet. So I'm very pleased with how everything turned out here, and like I said, my career has been perfect.
Given his dislike of early starts, Phelps will not remain in swimming in a coaching capacity, but he hasn't ruled out media work, especially as he's keen to attend the Swimming World Championships in Barcelona in 2013 and the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. And when he sits on the dry side of the pool, he may see someone emerge to challenge his record-setting feats.
Records are always made to be broken, I know that. You know, there's somebody that's, I'm sure, you know, coming up or has a dream the same way I had a dream as a kid, and they're going to try to achieve that. And it's, you know, really going to be fun for me. I can't say it enough, just being on the other side of the sport and being able to watch. I think it's going to be something that's going to be a lot more relaxing and pretty exciting.
When he gets home to Baltimore, Phelps' Olympic entire medal collection will be together for the first time.
Not sure what I'm going to do with them, but I do want to be able to look at all of them and just think about, you know, all the hard work that, you know, it took to get there and just remember everything.
Meanwhile, Chadley Close, the young South African who beat his hero Phelps in the 200-meter butterfly at London 2012, says that while swimming will miss Phelps, there's enough talent to make his absence bearable.
You know, Michael Phelps, I mean, will always, you know, be a legend in the sport, but I think now that a lot of the, I don't want to say this, the older guys are retiring, I feel that the younger guys are coming through now and, you know, putting their hand up and, you know, stepping up.
Phelps' credentials in the pool and as a marketing juggernaut are unimpeachable. But how he segues into the next phase of his life will be critical to defining his true legacy. That's all we have for you in this edition of World's Panorama. I'll be back next week, same time, with more world news. Till then, you can join us on Facebook at facebook.com/WPRSTV and Twitter. Our handle is @RSTV News for the latest world news. As we wrap up, take a look at some of the best, some of the grandest moments from the London Olympics 2012. Goodbye and thanks for watching.